It's airing live. It's Wednesday. It's March 24th, 2021. I am temporarily Lefty Lopresti. I don't know if we're going to see Shelly Sunshine or not. She's contemplating whether she's going to drop by or not. We'll see. Thanks for dropping in and joining me.
Speaking of dropping in,
there she is.
Yeah.
She had to get her video face on. We got 10.
Right.
We got 10.
My video face.
Yeah.
Go Beavs.
She's got her Beaver. That's actually my Beaver shirt on that she's wearing there to support the Oregon State Beavs.
Go Beavs.
In their NCAA tournament run, which continues this weekend.
Who's here? Go comments.
Let's go to comments and see who's here.
Who's here?
Hyper Potato, Stephen Ing.
Awesome.
Tom. Is it Bipple, do you think? You pronounce that right? Bipple? Well, hello, you all.
That's a name a teacher never got.
I know. Well, there was 10 people. Look at that. Now we went from 10 to 5. You just drop like a rock. You had just drop like a rock.
I'm out. All right. Well, let's see what you got.
What? Shelly's like, come on. What do you got? All right.
What?
Oh, well, see, I got to show this because this is what happens when you get Shelly ticked off. Okay. There's a sass alert from me, but then you can get this from Shelly.
That was after our trip to Mexico?
That was in Vegas
yeah, I don't have a very good relationship with jellyfish.
Yeah, they weren't too kind to her on a trip to Mexico several years ago. So she
once again, everything bites me, stings me, and
I swam right through them untouched, and they just attacked her and kind of ruined her day. But
he said, "Oh, Mrs., that looks bad."
It was difficult.
I get you anything with alcohol. That's all I wanted.
Well, we have many vacation stories, but right now it's time for
what? We need a sponsor.
We need a sponsor, and still you can see
Oregon State Beavs.
There's no sponsor. But see, they would have to give us money to be sponsors, and who's going to do that? I don't know.
Wait, it worked the opposite.
Yeah, if we gave them
money.
If we gave them money.
Lots of money.
All right, so let's take a look. These aren't actually toys that I did, but
there they are.
I want to take a look at this. These are. That's true. DC or whoever made HeroClix.
HeroClix.
You see my son's favorite thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, they did an amethyst based on there it is, based on the design I did when I did the amethyst series in Sword of Sorcery.
I was waiting
for DC.
Focus, but I think that's it.
Yeah, that's about as good as it's going to get. But they used my costume design. And they gave me nothing for it, which is okay. But I did have to. No, actually, you know what? I think they did send me one of these. No, I don't think they did. I think I went and bought it. But that's all right.
Take it out of
it's still based on my design. And then there's Tachyon. Those of you remember that ill-fated series
from your cover.
There
I know. I was just. Oh, sorry. I'm looking at it. Who cares about everybody else?
But yeah, so that's also based on my character design for Tachyon. So even though I didn't actually design these toys, technically speaking, I did because they're using my costume designs for the toys. So there you go. I had 2 HeroClix that actually that I was part of, whether they gave me official credit or not.
There you go.
So there's that.
Unmute.
All right. So now we have to start all
We
over
were
again.
working on the lip reading portion of the show.
Yeah, sorry about that. Thank you for alerting me and
All right, so what
Shelley
did we
to our
say?
lack
Oh,
of
so we
professional
did
behavior.
the pie
Yes.
lost, cake kicked butt.
And so now we need to decide if we're going to go chocolate or not chocolate.
Still no audio?
No, they're a minute behind us.
Oh,
They've got to
okay.
have it now.
It's the silent show.
Is it? No, see,
I don't know. I'm
mute-
just reading the
mute's not on.
comments. No, okay.
We should be talking. Okay.
Yes.
I have the sound turned down. I'm doing a bad lip reading winner. That's kind of funny. And spell my name correctly or...
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, get him.
And now the dog's
Get
barking.
him.
We've just lost all control of the show.
Coconut cake.
Audio's back on.
Okay.
Okay, great. Sorry.
I'm
So
sure they're thrilled.
so
Oh,
anyway,
Scott Denby.
so that's what I need you guys to do right now is vote on either chocolate or not chocolate. Okay, you don't have to give me a specific not chocolate flavor. This is kind of like chocolate against the field.
Oh, we were going to be eating cake.
We are.
Sorry.
No, we're going to eat cake on Sunday as determined by this vote. So, how do you spell A1? Oh, Lord. Okay.
Nervous heart condition.
Okay, so do I have to do this again? I probably should do it again. It
Oh,
did.
there it did.
I don't know why it didn't come back on last time. Okay, so there it is. We need our dog to stop barking, and I need you to vote chocolate or not chocolate. Shelley, get ready to tabulate.
It's going to be chocolate.
I can't
I'm
imagine.
just going to pretend.
Oh, there's a pencil right there.
Oh, we're not on mute.
I better quit saying stuff like that. Okay. Okay. The nervous heart condition. How do you spell it? No picture. No picture now. Scott, you're full of it. There's a picture. Okay. So chocolate, chocolate, 2 chocolates, 1 not chocolate. I'm a diabetic, but if I was eating, it would be chocolate. So I give you credit for that.
Yep.
So that's 3. Nighthawk, order comments, chocolate. Jeff Potts, chocolate times 2. Scott Dunbier, who loves you? I'm still wanting to know that, Scott. He's got his smiley face. Scott's going chocolate. Scott, I want to know when we're getting the Frankenstein book. You can release that that information right now, live stream. Okay, so it looks like chocolate right now is winning by a landslide. Because was it 7-1? So what's going to happen then is we'll run this again near the end of the show to get one more vote to make sure everybody has a chance to participate, and then we'll all be eating whatever either chocolate or not chocolate cake Sunday for the big show.
I have a picture at the bottom, but not in your me.
I have a picture of the bottom.
I don't know.
That seems to me like your problem. So Scott, you're giving me someday. That's the best you can tell me on the Wrights and Frankenstein book.
Is that next week? I think there's a someday next week.
I think yeah.
Saturday, someday.
Okay, so before we get into the covers, which is a mammoth undertaking, I have to admit.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
shocked at how many covers I'd actually done.
Yeah.
But I wanted to introduce a new segment to the show that's a little bit more sentimental.
Warm fuzzies.
Not so flippant, not so
Oh, I don't think we can do that.
sarcastic,
Oh, I'm out.
but really something that'll pull on the heartstrings. And so
I don't have one.
take a quick look at this, if you would,
What?
please.
Johnny Stark makes you feel he's a cool exec with a heart of steel.
As Iron Man, all jets ablaze, he's fighting and snipe with the tops are raised. Amazing armor,
There's Iron Man.
a blazing bomber.
Yeah, that wasn't that just
I need a moment.
does that just tug at your heartstrings? Just the
You have a tissue?
it's you just use my sleeve. I know it's but I wanted to bring something else to the table once.
You guys
in a
all
while.
good?
It's,
Are we good?
we're good. My arm,
Getting there. Well, there it is.
getting there. Yeah. Oh, did you notice this is my Firestorm shirt that I penciled and Matt Banning inked that Graffiti made a T-shirt out of, and they actually sent me one. I tried to
Nice.
order one online because Marvel didn't send me one, or DC didn't send me one, of course. And he's like, Aaron, you shouldn't have to pay for this, and he sent me two. So that was very nice. The guys at Graffiti did that.
Coolio.
Yes, that is a blast from the past, and that's what it's all about, right? Precious moments from yesteryear. So,
Hi, John.
oh, and thanks. John says, "Oh yeah, you too, Aaron." So he's hi, Shelley, and oh yeah, you too, Aaron.
You just missed our precious moments.
It's not
That was
like-
mine.
It's not like my show or anything. Hybrid
I'll
Potato
leave
comes in.
soon. Do you want me to go?
No,
Do
not
you
yet.
want me to go?
Hybrid Potato comes in late with Red Velvet, although we knew that from last show that you were pumping
Yes.
your wife's Red Velvet. So
You know, you could send us some.
look at Winston
Then
from
we could-
Singapore. All right.
Wow. Gosh.
Everybody does chocolate. That's why I'm trying to be different. So basically, Vincent, you're saying you would voted chocolate too, but you just assumed everybody was going to vote chocolate, so
Wait, I want to go
therefore you
back to
didn't.
this red velvet, sending us some red velvet. Can we go back there?
Oh man. Okay.
I think we need to have a taste test.
Yes. Okay.
All right, so we'll email you some contact info and you can send it to us.
Now, see, Nighthawk Warrior Comics wants to know if I can believe that Pierce Brosnan has been cast as Dr. Fate for the Black Adam movie. I saw that today, and I guess, I mean, I don't know. Maybe a little old, maybe way too old now. I mean, a younger one would have been better. A younger version of Pierce Brosnan, but since he's, he's not young anymore. What? What? Oh, this? I think everyone remembers Mrs. Lopresti. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mrs. Lopresti. You can call me Shelley. I
Yeah.
think it's okay.
Yeah, that's right. At this point, you can just
I'm not your
First-
teacher.
first name basis now. So I think that's really all I got to show you before we actually get into.
I'll go back.
Oh no! Wait a minute. Wait.
Oh. You don't like the jellyfish.
Oh, I got this too. You
Did that
can't-
last time.
I know, but it's like it's a shark.
Yeah,
I'm gonna throw a
yeah.
great white up there anytime. So
Great White. Wasn't that a band? Oh, like Cake and Pie.
yeah, Cake Pie and Great White. Great White. They were a triple
Oh
billing.
my gosh.
So you ship some. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, wait. Let's go back. Yeah.
Oh, what? Good morning from Jakarta, Indonesia.
Wow.
Thank you. How about
Aw.
that?
That's so cool.
That is Jakarta.
That's a warm fuzzy.
I actually shipped some red velvet to Colorado around Christmas. I can definitely send some to Casa de la Presti.
Hook me up.
Yes, I mean definitely.
Hi,
hook us
Tom. Hi, Johnny.
up. Mrs. Shelley. That's kind of like he's
Oh.
combining both. He's combining both.
Oh,
with Mrs.
God, I
Angel.
love
That's
that so
good.
much.
Okay. There. See, now that's inclusive. That's all inclusive. You're not like putting Shelley in front of me. It's kind of like the both of us at
Oh,
the same time. So
Gosh,
that's
made
good.
me cry.
All right. So here we go. Predatory force. Okay. All right. You guys would not believe. You would not
Ugh.
believe how many covers. In fact, we're going to have a contest, and I'm going to give away something to anybody, whoever can guess the closest number to the actual number of covers I have done in my career, because I couldn't believe it, but I counted them up today.
There's no basketball game on. What am I going to watch?
I don't know. You have to pull up Pi on your more Pi songs on your laptop,
Pie songs.
or when I pull this up, you can run. You can bail and no one will know until I drop it off.
Okay.
But anyway, so I left Marvel as I told the tale last time, and jumped over to DC Comics. Now, when I first got to DC, like anytime you go from one company to another one, they have a higher level of respect for you, and they're kind of like, oh, let's get that guy as much work as we possibly can. He's our new favorite guy. And that lasted for, a year or two. But actually the first thing I did was a Legion book, Legion of Superheroes issue that was like a fill-in because they weren't quite ready for me to take over Wonder Woman yet. And that crunching sound is my dog eating something, probably plastic, on the floor. But this is actually the
Spring from
first
a
cover
can.
I did for DC. Now, the interesting thing about this is this was a result of Gail Simone was a writer, and she asked me, hey, anything you want to draw? And I said, yeah, I like barbarians and dinosaurs and things like that. So once again, I had a writer
Shocking.
accommodate me. What I got to do was design 3 new costumes for Wonder Woman for the 3 different ages that she appeared in the story. Excuse me, burping up broccoli, which is the worst.
Good. I'm
Yeah.
gonna back up. No.
So the real crime here is, other than our dog just randomly barking at strange noises in our house, is that none of these figures were turned into action figures or statues or anything. They were never used. And actually, I think the costume designs on them are actually pretty good. But anyway, there you go. So this is the 3rd cover I did. And this is the dog letting us know that this is the 3rd cover. Colored a little bit dark, and we'll get into that in a second. But this was part of that longer story arc that featured the 70s barbarian characters, Claw the Unconquered, the Stalker, who is a soulless being, who is like a medieval guy looking for his soul. And that's why she's got the red eyes here on the covers, because she's adopted the persona of the Stalker. And then, of course, Beowulf. So those 3 were in there in the story, along with Wonder Woman. So what I was doing at this point was, as you can see here on, this is 23, I think, the cover to 23. Something's going on out there. I'm telling you, and it's not pleasant. Strange noises coming from out in the hall. Yes, this is the fun you have when you do these things from your house.
He's trying to wear out the dog. And
Okay. Okay. He's pulling on her pant leg.
Why
He's
do
so
you-
well trained.
He's hurting me.
So anyway, what I was doing was a Marvel editor, when I was still at Marvel, came up to me and said, you should. He had saw the commissions I was doing at the con at San Diego, and I was doing the gray marker sketches, and he said, you should do your covers like that. And I said, I hadn't even thought about that. And he's like, yeah, and you get paid more for it too. And I was like, yes. So that's what I was doing on these Wonder Woman covers, but I wasn't using markers because I was scared that I'd screw it up. And then I was like, well, then how do I fix it? So that's all done with pencil. All that gray was done with pencil.
Wow.
And I had trouble with the colorist really kind of figuring out how to color. What they should have been doing is colorizing the gray, but instead they were coloring over the top of the gray, which then made everything probably much darker than it needed to be. But
Yeah.
I wasn't at all schooled in coloring at this point that I was confident enough that I could, take their job from them. So that's why some of these covers look dark.
Yes, Vincent, total.
That's a good guess, but I haven't asked you to guess yet. So,
What?
keep
You
those
just
numbers
said.
to yourself. No, I said we'd do it later.
Oh.
Look at that, Scott. That's an epic 422. I'd have to admit, not quite that many.
That's good.
Yeah, you guys save those guesses. I'll give you a hint. Because it could be anything. So I'll give you a hint, kind of a parameters to work from. But wait till I cue you. Okay, so this is an interesting cover because I did this the same way. And this is the first one I tried to color myself, but they didn't like what I was doing. So they fired me from coloring and gave it back to the colorist, who basically did what I was trying to do, but I don't know if he did it any better than I was doing it. But anyway, this is probably my favorite cover.
Favorite one.
And I got it hanging up in the studio right above me on the wall. And this was sort of a Norman Rockwell sort of homage kind of. I mean, it wasn't an homage in the sense that I was ripping. Okay, I'm going to cut the sound again.
Sorry, he grabs my pant leg and pulls me and then with it and
it's great. It's a zoo. We should be selling tickets. Is what we should be doing.
He only does this to me.
It's because she lets him do it.
Oh, he's so cute.
But anyway, that's my daughter in the yellow dress doing the muscles sign. and mimicking Wonder Woman and one of her friends. And this was drawn when they were in kindergarten.
Yeah.
So, and she's
And
19
she's now a
now.
freshman in college.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's a few years ago. But this is the one cover out of the 22, 23
Oh,
Wonder Woman covers I did that I still have. And it's hanging up on my wall.
Stop.
Sold all the rest of them because,
Wait, do the camera. I'll
That's
put
my
it on the
style.
wall.
Oh, okay. We're going to switch cameras so you can see it up on my wall. Well, hopefully it won't screw up the mic again.
There it is.
There it is in all of its gray beauty.
And you can see the N that doesn't show
What?
on the N
Oh, for my,
for your Nebraska.
yeah, I put Nebraska. I work that in wherever I can.
Yep. Okay.
So anyway, there you go. So that's 25. That's my favorite cover. No, it's like a wrestling match going on back here.
Could you stop
It's
it?
double the entertainment value. Okay, so this is 26, and this is
Those are my good pants.
I think this is, I don't know if it's the first appearance of oh, for crying out loud, what is that character's name? Evil Death Destroyer woman. I can't remember, but I think she actually appeared in the previous issue, but she gets her first cover shot. Actually, Phil Jimenez did a book on Wonder Woman. And of all the stuff I've done for Wonder Woman, this is the one piece he included in the book, which I thought was interesting. I'll bet someone in the chat knows the name of that character. Can we
Yeah,
have
we'll
a
save
studio
it
tour on a
for-
future broadcast? I need a full tour. Yeah, if I ever clean my studio, I'll take you guys on a tour.
Oh.
Genocide, thank you. If I was Stanley,
Yes,
I'd
he's
give
so
you,
cute.
I'd give you a no prize because I couldn't remember. Cute dog. Oh yeah, he's hilarious.
Except when he's trying to, I think someone told me he was trying to herd me, but yeah. And then when I'm walking, he bites the back of my legs. It's
Okay,
weird.
Johnny says I have a book you worked on, an old book. See, I don't really think that was necessary, Johnny. I think you could just say that you have a book.
It's
So
your
anyway.
true friends will tell you the truth.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So yeah.
Does Savage Hawk have a dog? I don't even know who Savage Hawk is. You must be talking to somebody else other than me. Okay, so let's move along since I have like 1 million covers to show you in like 60 minutes.
Okay, it's a little less than that for the
But it feels like,
number
yeah,
coming up.
don't guess that number. That's not a correct number.
Infinity.
Now this is a really horrible scan, and I'm sorry for this, but it's one of my favorite covers, and you can see all the gray tone work I did on that. And then I thought this one came out really, really well. I don't remember who the colorist was. I don't remember if I had the same colorist in all the covers or if they switched around. Maybe it was Alex Sinclair, I can't remember. But I thought he did a nice job on this one. That turned out really well. I
Why
like
is the
that.
scan so good?
I don't know. I stole off the internet. It looked okay in Photoshop, and then when I loaded it up
Oh.
here, it just never really sort of.
Yeah.
And then of course there's 27, where we've got Donna Troy in her little Starfield outfit, which is always fun for everybody.
Oh yeah.
This is probably my favorite Wonder Woman cover, and that turned out really, really well as well. I thought the coloring of that turned out fantastic, and that, of course, is Cheetah. And again, all the shadowing and stuff on the lighting effects on there was done with pencil in the gray, and that's a really nice color job, I thought, in terms of colorizing that color, rather than coloring over the top of the gray. There we got another 29, which is Wonder Woman battling genocide, and that armor I made up, but it was sort of based on Alex Ross's Kingdom Come armor. So in fact, maybe that's what it is. I can't remember if I did any sort of
Did you
messing
scan
around
that?
with it. No, all this stuff is off the
I was
internet.
gonna say,
It took me forever. Some of the stuff I scanned, but not much of it. This isn't a very good scan either. And this was sort of the Rise of the Olympians, which wasn't, I don't think Gail did not plan on doing that storyline, but it was kind of forced upon us, and some elements that, because Jeff Johns and some of the other people were doing something that tied into this. So, and that often happens. You get an idea of where you're going with a script, and then it gets hijacked by somebody else doing. That happened with me on my Metamorpho miniseries. a little bit. So actually a lot. That's a pretty good one. I thought it turned out pretty
I
well.
like that one.
And I experimented a little bit on this dude where I didn't do any line work on his musculature. I did it all with pencil and grays. So yeah, I was fooling around. Well, it turned out all right. There's another one. It's kind of a nice covered, sort of simple but iconic in a way. You know, it's nice. And then this isn't one of my favorite covers, although a lot of people seem to like it. They asked us to do something different and odd, and I didn't really know what they meant by that for this month. So all the DC covers would be like not normal. So I did this kind of stylized shadow thing down in red down at the bottom, but I'm not really sure that constituted, because
weird.
I never really got a clear definition of what they wanted me to do. So I just kind of did that.
Right.
So there's Hippolyta giving Wonder Woman heck. And now this is also one of the favorite covers that people always like. It's so simple, but I guess it's effective because a lot of people seem to like it. So, and every one of these covers, like a good capitalist, I've sold them all.
Oh, take the money and run Lopresti.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, or take the money and pay the bills, Lopresti.
That's
So
true. Kids are expensive.
they are.
Not highly recommended.
That's right, unless you have a lot of money. So there's 39.
Sorry, kids. You
Now
see
here-
this, we love you.
This is the last cover I did with the gray tonal shading, because I just kept, for the most part, I wasn't happy with how they looked after they were colored, and like I said, it wasn't at a point where I felt confident that I could color them myself. So this cover, I went in, and this was kind of, I was trying to do sort of a McGinnis, Robert McGinnis kind of paperback 60s sort of feel to it. As you can see with the dry brush down at the bottom, there was a lot of dry brush I used on here, which is basically you have ink on your brush but not much water, and you brush it out until the brush is actually dry, and it gives you that kind of broken edge to it. And then I went in with an X-Acto knife and scratched all those scratch marks in the black.
The sharp side?
Yeah, and just scratched it into the paper. So I thought that was a fairly effective cover. So I kind of like that. And then the last cover I did for Wonder Woman was Wonder Woman 42, but I'm not going to show you. But that was with
Oh. Teaser.
pardon me, 41. That was with Power Girl.
Comments.
And Shelley says, let's check the comments. They're getting ahead of us. So okay.
Go on.
It does. Okay, we've seen that. Made me laugh a bit. I think it was a DC book. Okay, why do you? Johnny. What does this say? Aaron, are you going to draw with your left hand tonight? Also, Humphrey Bear was asking me, not you, about my character having a dog. So okay, I see.
No worries.
No, I'm drawing with my right hand though. Sunday for the first time in
Booyah!
about a little over a month. So we'll see how that turns out. See, now that's nice. I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
I like to reward people when they do nice things.
Nice.
So
Sorry, peoples.
these Wonder Woman covers look really nice. Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you very
guys
much.
can chat amongst yourselves.
No, they always do. They don't want to talk to us.
It's all right.
They're here for themselves.
No, they're like, yeah, it's totally fine.
Okay. Where was I? Okay, so
You just finished Wonder Woman.
Okay, so after I finished Wonder Woman, I was supposed to take over Superman, and but
And
this
what tragic story happened there?
it was written by Straczynski, who did Babylon 5, and is notorious for writing slow-moving, boring comic books that would make great television shows. And his storyline was Superman walks across America. Or I'm
Right.
sorry, Clark Kent walks across America.
I remember that now.
And when they told me this, I said, I'm not doing that. You know, like career suicide. Thank you. No. So it was kind of a scramble, but they were able to hook me up with Justice League, which we'll get to in a second. But during this period of time, like I said, I was kind of, one of the favorite sons because I just come over from Marvel. So they were throwing me covers left and right. So it took me a little bit of time to kind of find all the covers I did, because some of them were pretty random. And I don't know exactly what order they came in, because they were all just coming in quite frequently at different times. So these loose, one-off covers are not necessarily in chronological order. That's a terrible scan. But I worked the Superman 80-page giant logo into the asteroid. And I don't know that I would have.
It looks like
Yeah.
the scan makes it look like it was colored pencil.
Yeah, it does. It's just a terrible scan. And I wasn't 100% happy with the color job either. No offense. But anyway, so I still have that cover. Now, this is an interesting story. This was for Superman something or other, one of the Superman comics, obviously. But it wasn't action. It was Superman. And Matt Idelson calls me up and he says, hey, I need a cover by tomorrow. And I'm like, okay. So I did a couple of sketches. I sent it to him. He goes, okay, this one. I said, all right. So I penciled this cover that day and then started inking it and finished inking it the next morning and then got it sent off to him. It's probably the quickest turnaround I've ever done on a cover. And it turned out really, really nice. And so I was very pleased with how it came out. And I thought the color job was good. And so it's just odd that it was the biggest rush job I've ever had in a cover, and it turned out as nice as it did. And then I also got thrown at these things, the War of the Supermen, these actually turned out pretty well as well. And that, I guess, is Zod. And then the next cover of that miniseries was Supergirl with some other
What year
characters.
was this?
Mm,
Because I
Would
don't
have been
remember these.
2000 and, well, it was right after I finished Wonder Woman. So it's 15 years ago, 14 years
Oh my
ago.
gosh,
So
we're so old.
2007-ish maybe.
Oh, I was working full time.
And then, yeah, you were teaching out at Putnam.
No,
Or,
Tigard.
I think when I did these, you were in Putnam.
Well, that would have been 05.
Okay, well, this could be that old. And then there's that girl that hangs out with Zod,
That chick.
good old what's her name. And then the last one I got to do was Superman, actually, on the cover. And Superman choking out some general. Looks like Gorilla Grodd there, too, up there in that panel. So
What's the year down at the bottom? Looks like a double digit. 10
2010. So you would have been a Tiger.
as a Tigard.
Okay.
Teaching 200 and some kids a day.
Now, you may remember this. I don't like this coloring at all because I just don't like the color choices. It's like pale. He looks like he's, jaundiced or has like kidney failure or something. And I'm not
He's
trying to make
super-
fun of that, but
Super pale. Kind of like me dead of winter.
but anyway, so that was an Adventure Comics 0.
Meow.
And
Come here, boo boo.
so I crammed all those in there because I figured that was maybe about the time I did it. And see, that one's 08. So I actually did that 2 years prior to the War of the Supermen. Now, when I was working on Justice League Generation Lost, which Judd Winnick wrote, it was a massive undertaking. I think there was 26 issues or something. And I think they were bi-weekly, which would be 2 every month. And so there was several artists working on it. But I was like the lead artist. So I got to do the first issue, and then I would pick which issue I wanted to do. And so I did like 5, which had the Metal Men in it because that's what I wanted to do. And then there was another one that they were in the future and I wanted to do that. And so actually it worked out pretty well. But anyway, but I wasn't doing the covers because it was already assigned. But I did get to do a couple covers for it. This is number 18, which was an alternate cover. They just wanted a simple white cover with Captain Atom. I thought, well, I can accommodate that. And then another one, this was for 17. So 17 and 18. One was Blue Beetle, obviously, and the other was Captain Atom. So those were kind of fun. And then I got to do the one regular cover, which was, this is issue 23. And so after finishing this, it did so well. And basically the Booster Gold Justice League team, which was now Justice League International, they said, you know what, we're going to spin this off and do a series, and Aaron gets to draw it.
Woo!
So there it is. And so there's my first cover. We like to call it covered issue number 1. And there was a bit of controversy about this because the character in white down there in the corner, Godiva, was originally a black-haired character that was one of Dan Jurgens' creations from his Booster Gold series called Klepto, I believe. But it got released with her on the cover initially, but then at this point in time in the New 52, what's her face? You know, Wonder Woman's sister, younger sister. Oh my gosh, I really am getting old. And then the dog
Lord.
loses
Lord.
for no reason at all.
I'm gonna go strangle him.
Shelley's going to go strangle the dog while I continue telling my tale of people that I can't remember their names. Donna Troy. So everybody was saying, oh, they thought it was Donna Troy, and said there was this big buzz. Oh, they're bringing Donna Troy back in the New 52. And Dan DiDio was like, no, we're not bringing her back. And so he said, take her off the cover and put someone else in there. And I told him, I said, Dan, any publicity is good publicity. Even if it's not true, it's getting people talking. Let's leave it on there. Leave the mystery. He's like, no, get rid of it. So that's how Godiva got in there. And it's fine. You know, Godiva is basically DC's Medusa character. So, yeah, Wonder Girl. Thank you. Well, actually, it's not Wonder Girl. Wonder Girl is the younger blonde. It's Donna Troy, yes. Lloyd, what did you miss? Lloyd, you missed so much good stuff, man. You're going to have to go back and watch the beginning. Okay, so that was the first cover. And here's the second cover. And this was a scan I took off the internet, and it's kind of washed out, so I apologize. But I really like this cover. It's one of my all-time favorite covers. And it's simple, but it's cool. And I like big images, big, simple images. And if you can't tell by my covers, for the most part, I don't like real busy, complicated covers. I like stuff that sort of just grabs your attention in very simple, bold terms. And so anyway, and it was really bizarre because I remember Dan DiDio calling me up going, wow, that cover really, that's a great cover. I really like that cover. And I'm like, yeah, thanks, Dan. And then like a couple days later, I get a call from my editor saying, oh, you can't do covers anymore. And I'm like, why not? They said, well, because we have David Finch under contract and he's making so much money, we have to put him on a book that actually will justify his page rate. And I was like, well, why is that my problem? But it was my problem. And so Finch took over covers after this. Oh my gosh. I'm going to commit suicide. Anyway, all right, let's close the door. It's not going to help too much, but it'll help a little. Anyway, so what happened was he did some tremendous covers. All right. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that he didn't. And I loved him. And I love David Finch's stuff. I think he's terrific. But that was still my cover job. And I was kind of ticked about it for a long time. But anyway, enough about me sulking. So we jump over to a couple of randos that got thrown my way during this period of time. One was this, both these were adventure comics, but the one with the Guardian was Adventure Comics Special, one shot. I'm not sure what the deal, but they were doing several of those. And you can see Jimmy Olsen reflected in his coffee cup there. As the Guardian and his daughter jumped through it. I'm like, why isn't he wearing his Guardian outfit? And they're like, no, he's in t-shirt and jeans. I'm like, why? That's me whining to my editor. So anyway, that's why that's that way. And then, of course, Adventure Comics was kind of fun because it was kind of old school with the multiple frames on the cover. And down there at the bottom, you can see the little crypto down there with that alien dude. So that was kind of fun. And then I got this one, which was The Blackest Night, another Adventure Comics. That looks like that was 08 as well. And I wasn't in love with the coloring on this either. I'm not a big fan of stuff that's too airbrushy looking and glowing, you know, and this is both. So, but anyway, I don't want to disparage other people, so I shouldn't. here's a couple more randos. Justice League America number 58. That looks like the Atom, of course, inside some bullet that some gorilla dude. That's not Gorilla Grodd. Maybe that's Sasquatch. I have no idea who that is. And then the blue guy is was the revamped. Who was that? I want to say it was Tony Harris did this series, I think. But he's kind of like a Vertigo character, and they kind of moved him over into the regular DCU, and he appeared on the cover. Now, this Green Lantern Corps cover, this is an interesting story because the editor called me up. It was Brian Cunningham, and he's like, he told me what he wanted. And I was like, okay. Now, Brian's notorious for being real picky on covers, and you can go through just rounds and rounds and rounds of cover sketches with him. But he said, I really want him coming at you, you know? And so I would do a version of it. And he's like, no, this isn't really working for me. And I did like 3 different versions. And he was like, you know what, maybe I should just get somebody else. We were clearly not connecting. And I said, no. I said, we've come this far. I said, I'm getting a little pissed. I said that somehow we're not, you know, I'm going to figure this out. Just give me one more shot at this. He said, all right. So I kind of pulled out some Jim Lee stuff, and I figured, I think this is what he wants. And so I kind of did a Jim Lee version of you know, my version of Jim Lee, I guess. And I sent it to him. He goes, that's exactly what I wanted. So then I ended up doing it. And you'll notice the interesting thing on Green Lantern's hands. I assumed he had gloves on. Apparently he did not. So he doesn't have any fingernails. Of course, no one told me that until, you know, after the fact. So there's nothing I could do about it at that point. Okay. And I want to throw these in here too, because I was working on Garbage Man at the time of this other stuff. I would work, there was no deadline on Garbage Man, all right? It was kind of like whenever I got it done, then they published it. And so I would work on it in between jobs, or if, you know, if I was waiting for a series to start, like Justice League International or whatever, or between Wonder Woman and Justice League Generation Lost, I would just jump in and start working on Garbage Man. So when exactly this stuff got published, as to when I actually drew it, who knows? But I was working on this stuff. And so the first miniseries that Garbage Man appeared in was Weird Worlds, right? And I didn't get to do the cover to the first issue, which kind of ticked me off. Yeah, I see how easily I'm ticked off. But I did get to do the cover to the 6 issues. And this is kind of a take on the garbage compactor scene from Star Wars. And you can see there's, if you look real closely at this cover, there's right next to Lobo there, Lobo's butt, there's a Stormtrooper helmet peeking out of the garbage. And there's things in there like Tanga's sitting on a toilet seat behind her. You know, there's like a stuffed animal in there. There might be some other stuff in there. I can't remember now. But I didn't want to put too much stuff in and get anybody in trouble. But yeah, I did hide this Stormtrooper in there. And then, of course, then we went right from the 6th issue of Weird Worlds to the new miniseries, which was My Greatest Adventure. So I did the last cover of Weird Worlds and then the first cover of My Greatest Adventure. The interesting thing about these two is I did color these. And you can see by my coloring style that it's not shiny and glowy unless it's metal. But even Robot Man isn't that shiny and glowy. I don't like that kind of coloring. I like a kind of a dressed up version of old style comic book coloring. That's, you know, it's just me. So, so I got to color those. All right. So kind of what happened after Justice League International got canceled. And the reason it got canceled was not because of sales. The book was selling well. It was in the high 30s, low 40s. It debuted at like 65,000, which they were just nuts, thought it was great. You know, it was a top 10 book. And then it settled in, like I said, in the high 30s, low 40s. So that was a good, solid book at that period of time. And even now, it's a good, solid book if you can sell that many. But they canceled it anyway. Why? Because somebody, and I'm not going to say who it was, didn't like the book. It wasn't Dan DiDio, but somebody high up didn't like the book. And they had so many Justice League books, they felt that it was cheapening the brand. Because it was kind of, you know, there was the humor and the goofiness of the whole thing. And Dan Jurgens, who was writing, and I both went to Dan DiDio and said, look, we'll just change the name of the book. Let's keep the book. It's selling well. just don't call it Justice League. You know, if you want the rest of the Justice League to be embarrassed by this Justice League, then have them say so in the book and have them go and become their own thing. And so they're no longer affiliated with Justice League, which would have made great sense. And I think Dan later admitted that that would have been a better way to go than just cancel a book that's making you money, which is exactly what they did. Now, because this was in the New 52 era, what DC had doing was they would launch a number of books. And then if those whichever were the worst selling of those books would get canceled, and then they'd launch a second wave. Then they'd launch a third wave, and it'd go like that. So there was always 52 books being published, right? The problem is you launch with your big guns, right? And so all you have left then is second tier. And then after your second tier, all you got left is third tier. And then after that, all you got left is fourth tier. So I was first tier in the Justice League International, which the book never should have been canceled, but it was. And so that threw me in a bind, because now they're like, well, what do we put Aaron on? You know, they couldn't stick me on the other regular Justice League because I was already being done by somebody, or Batman or Superman, or those were already being done by other people, and they weren't getting canceled, clearly. So what was left? Well, let's try Amethyst. Now, that was a very good book for those of you who read it. Christy Marks did a wonderful job. But I knew the second they gave it to me, I was like, this is going to get canceled, because I knew not enough people would care about it. But it is interesting in that this was all drawn from my pencils, or shot from my pencils, excuse me. Obviously it was drawn with pencil, but, and I felt bad because I put Matt Ryan out of work for a period of time. And I really feel bad about that, but I still do to this day. But Mike Martz had suggested to me, is like, you know, I would really like to see what your stuff would look like if it was shot from your pencils, because he felt like my stuff wasn't ever really translating. He thought the pencils always looked great, but then when they got inked and colored or whatever, he said it just never was quite as good. And so he thought, well, would you be up for doing this? And I said, yeah. And which I suppose I could have said no, but I wasn't sure if it was coming from above Mike or if it was just Mike's idea. And I was like, you know, I didn't want to make too many waves and get myself in trouble. So, like I said, I sort of sacrificed Matt, and I feel really bad about that, and I shouldn't have done it. But anyway, so the interior of this book was never inked. It was just scanned from my pencils and colored. And I did some really nice stuff in this book, and I really think it's a really good book, but it sold horribly. And also, I don't think it was a great idea to put it in Sword of Sorcery. This is another anthology book. There was 2 other books in there with Amethyst. If they just done, so it was more expensive. You're selling books or characters that people are not that keen on to begin with, and then you're charging more because it's a extra sized book, because the Amethyst story was 20 pages or 22 pages, whatever. And then there was 2 supporting shorter stories in there. So this was like a king size book. So all the other books are selling for $2.99, but now you're trying to sell Amethyst, which was not a popular character anyway, at a higher price. So there was a lot of things that didn't make sense in it. But anyway, I did do all my covers, and I inked these covers, mostly with pen, which was interesting because I was just trying something different. There we had a guest star of, you know, the dude that smokes a lot from Vertigo. I tell you, man, I can't remember anybody's name. I sort of got to do a redesign on Eclipso in the next issue, but I'm not showing you that cover. And there he is on this cover. The last issue was 8. And I know Christy had a much longer story arc that was probably taking us through at least 12 issues. And so she really had to cut this short, which was not fair to her, but sales are what they are, right? And they said, this book is canceled, so you got to wrap it up in 8 issues. So, but anyway, that's the final cover I did for Amethyst. Now, after I finished this, I was working on a Legends of the Dark Knight digital story, because I was always calling over to Digital, who Hank Canals at the time was running. And I knew Hank way back from our Malibu days, Ultraverse days. And I wanted to do more writing, and so I knew that there was opportunities over there for the digital stuff. So I did this Batman story, which then later appeared. This is the digital cover. You know, if you get the digital download, this is what it would look like. So I wrote, penciled, and inked this story, and I penciled and inked and colored this cover. And this was later used when they reprinted them in comic book or paper form instead of digital. They reprinted them as Legends of the Dark Knight 100-page spectaculars. And so this cover was used on number 4 of those 100-page spectaculars. And that's my cover from that one. And it was great because it had Clayface, Joker, and Killer Croc. They're in the story, but very briefly. They're not what the story's about. They just make appearances. And so I got to put them on the cover. So that was cool. And well, I'm going to jump into comments real quick here because they're piling up on me. 2009. Let's see. Why would Joe Biden cancel Justice League? Okay, you got me to laugh. Hey, there's another nice comment by Nighthawk Warrior Comics. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Bill says, Aaron, can I ask a question? You can always ask a question, Bill. Ask away, and I'll get to it here eventually. Let's see. Hyper Potato says, loved your art on Amethyst, but missed the storyline of the 80s series with Dan Mishkin and Ernie Colon. Well, you're one of the few people who read it. So anyway, either, actually. Was DC the most frustrating place? There's a certain amount of frustration no matter where you work. It's just this different kind of frustration. Because I wasn't getting the opportunities I wanted at Marvel. I mean, I was getting decent opportunities, but not kind of the stuff I wanted to get done. And DC, I got the stuff I wanted to do for at least the first few years I was working there. And Dan DiDio always kept me busy, always made sure I had something. If I couldn't get anything from editors, I'd go, hey, I just finished this run on, I need something. I would just go to Dan and go, Dan, help me out, man. And he would go tell somebody to give me a series or something. Sometimes it was great and sometimes it wasn't that great, but at least he always had my back. But he did come in and change stuff a lot at the last minute. So there was some frustration there, but that's not all that unusual in comics. So, yeah, Bill, inking is a whole nother challenge. And it requires just continue to work and look at other people that, stylistically wise you like and kind of figure out what they're doing. I do, if you haven't checked out on my YouTube channel, I can't remember what episode it was, but it was Talking Comics and Art with Aaron Lopresti. I did do sort of an inking tutorial over Garbage Man. So you might want to check that out. It might give you some insight. Bill, if you have a comment away. All right, let's go back to the covers. So I also had some other stuff that I did. Maybe you guys didn't know this, but I did, and I don't know what year. Looks like maybe 08 or 09 again. So this is like in the first 2 or 3 years that I was at DC, and they were just giving me all kinds of stuff. Like I said, I was their favorite for a couple of years, and then I kind of, slid down the ladder, and the new people came in. Anyway, so I did these 3 Green Arrow covers, which at the time I was kind of lukewarm on, but now I really like them. And these were all sort of, this was, the first one, 13, was interesting because it was taking place in the Great Wall of China. I was like, wow, how am I going to draw that and do these characters big enough? And but it worked out. I think it worked out pretty good. And then, of course, we have the Hawkman guest starring with Green Arrow there in that one, in the middle one. And then the last one, which was 15, which I decided to make one of the buildings the title of the story because it's such a ominous title, Fall of the Green Arrow. I thought, why don't we work that into the cover in sort of an Eisner-esque kind of fashion? And Joey Cavalieri was the inker on it, or the editor on it. And he's like, he was all for it. So I take it back. These were 2012, it looks like. So a little bit later. I think the next cover, well, that's not in focus either, is it? That's another bad scan. I didn't do another cover, I don't think, on a book I worked on Till Death of Hawkman. And that was a 6-issue miniseries. And they gave me this series, and the editor, I can't remember off the top of my head, we ended up with 3 different editors, which turns into another story here in a minute. But let me scooch over here so I'm not hiding behind the cover all the time. So yeah, we ended up with 3 different editors on this 6-issue miniseries. But anyway, it was Adam Strange and the New 52 Hawkman, who we ended up killing in this, so they could bring back the original Hawkman, which I don't think had ever left. So there was like 2 Hawkmen buzzing around. I don't know. Trying to keep up with that kind of crazy continuity was not my partay. I had a hard enough time figuring out what book I was drawing. So, but anyway, so this was, I penciled and inked these covers, but I did not color them. I was not someone, I don't color covers on a regular series because I am the slowest colorist in the world. And so like when I do like a cover for Dynamite or Archie or just a one-shot cover someplace, I'll color it. But, you know, I sometimes spend a week coloring a cover. When you're getting paid like $150 or whatever it is for coloring a cover, it's not a great way to make money, but especially when you're as slow as I am. But anyway, so that's why I didn't color these. Now this cover I really like. In fact, I think I kept this one. In fact, I know I did. I just like the big Adam Strange figure. And again, that's me. I like drawing big images, simple images, because I think they stand out more on the rack. So, and then here's another one of my favorite covers. Now, Chiarella was the cover editor at the time. And when I turned the sketch in for this, he goes, maybe we should have Adam Strange opened up to the reader instead of having a shoulder kind of partially obscure his face. And I said, no. I said, the last cover was totally Adam Strange centric. And I said, and I want this to be Hawkman focused. So even though we're seeing Adam Strange, we're not really seeing his face because I wanted the focus to be on Hawkman. At least that's how I justified it. And Mark was like, okay, makes sense to me. And so that's what we did. I really think the coloring, everything on this turned out great. I love this cover. Coloring on it is super nice. Actually, the coloring on all these covers was super nice. And to go back to what I did on the Wonder Woman stuff, I only did the grayscale stuff on the Wonder Woman covers, and then I quit doing it because I just didn't feel the coloring was working out well. So, so again, I pencil and inked this cover. John Livesey did the inside inks on this series. Now this is interesting. Here's the story. As you can see, Hawkgirl's on the cover, right? Well, she's not in the issue. In fact, she's not in the miniseries at all. So I was told by originally the first editor to do Hawkgirl because there was supposed to be a dream sequence or something where she was in it. And Mark and Draco, who wrote this, I think changed his mind and took her out or whatever later. But the cover had already been done, right? Well, now you have an editorial switch. And so they're not up to speed with what originally happened. So they didn't know that this cover had Hawkgirl on it, and because the cover was already done and waiting to be run. And so by the time, I think, like I said, I think this finally came out with the third editor in charge. And I was like, I saw the solicitations for it. And or just prior to solicitations, I called Dan DiDio and I said, Dan, Hawkgirl isn't in this comic. I did the cover a couple months ago and we've solicited it already, but now I just got the script and she's not in the comic. And Dan was like, what are you going to do? Yeah, he didn't think it was a big deal. I thought it was like this huge deal. I was like, oh my gosh, we're telling fans to pick this up because Hot Girl's in it, and she's not in it. But so anyway, we got a fair amount of flack when this came out, and Hot Girl was not actually in the issue. But it's kind of a fun cover, so there you go. And then this one kind of ended up being sort of an iconic cover, I think. It's simple, again, black cover. In fact, I think they requested this of me. I don't know if I actually came up with this idea. I had several ideas, and I don't know if this was one of them or if this is what they specifically requested, but it worked really, really well. Simple, but really cool and effective, I think, and makes that kind of, jump right off the stands. So there you have it. Let's jump into the comments real quick here. Bill says, you're working now, which is what counts. Well, am I working right now? I was at the time. Love your perspective. Thank you, Bill. Nice Hawkman cover. Thank you. Kyle Holtz is so dark. Kyle is dark. This is a little late, but it's funny. I'll look at Green Arrow before the CW ruined the character. I don't watch those shows, so I have no idea, but I'll take your word for it. Okay. So let's do this real quick before I forget, because I think it's time that this needs to be run. I got to get that stuff in there. I got to get that stuff in there. So anyway, as we move right along my cover journey, this one I did, it looks like 2009, and this was Superman Secret Files. And it's really interesting because it's not a super dynamic cover by any stretch of the imagination. It does have a lot of characters back there on the screen, but I kind of looked at it as sort of an average cover. They ended up using this on the trade paperback, which I was like really surprised. But I guess maybe because it had so many characters on the cover. But I look at it kind of like, now this was one of my faves here, all time. I did this right after Death of Hawkman, because the series finished up, and here's another tragic tale, if I can tell. I really wanted to do Future Quest, and not that Doc Shanner didn't do a great job on the book, but I really wanted to do that book. But I was unavailable because I was working on Death of a Hawkman when they started doing that. So I don't know that I would have got it. I'm not suggesting that, but I'm just saying that I would have had the opportunity to. Shelley returns. I'm sorry.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah, I was going to say Shelley returns.
I do this
See that
guy so well. That's my teacher look.
The comedy ramps up when Shelley's in the house. It really does. I just start talking about covers and stuff, and then Shelley comes in and I'm energized to yuck it up. But anyway, so I said, Dan, I need something, man. And so he said, well, we're doing these Looney Tune mashups. And I go, oh my gosh, what have you got? He said, well, Batman Elmer Fudd's already being done, which was brilliant, by the way, by Tom King and Lee Weeks. But he said, I got Martian Manhunter. I go, I'm done. Don't even tell me anymore. That's the one I want to do. So, of course, I did this cover for it and penciled and inked and colored it. This is one of those situations where I had time on my hands so I could actually color it. And I remember turning it in and Dan going, make the armor more shiny. And I went, all right. So I went back in and made it more shiny. So that was one of the things I did. And at that time, and I don't know exactly when this one. Now this was a retailer. They did like 100 covers to this comic, and retailers got to pick an artist and get their own cover for their store. And so I had a retailer contact me. He had an online store, and a guy that's been buying Richard art for me for years wanted me to do this cover for The Dark Knight. And so he didn't get to pick what the subject matter was, but I did several sketches, turned them in. They said a lot of the ones I turned in, everybody, because they're doing 100 covers, right? So they had a lot of repeat images. And so I said, well, not many people are going to do the horse because horses are hard to draw. So I jumped in with this, and I really love how this horse turned out. And I colored this as well myself. And it was easy because I did a very simple color job to sort of mimic what Lynn Varley had done on the original Dark Knight series. And although I didn't get to do the Future Quest series, I did get to do an alternate Herculoids cover for the first issue. So I was pretty
Do
happy
your
about that.
Herculoids.
Do my see? I need a little film clip like that of
You don't
Glip
need the
and
film
Gloop.
clip. You are the film
I
clip.
am. I got the bald head. I look just like him. Gloop and Gleep or Glop or whatever they are.
Look.
So sweet. They can't see you. Let
I
me
know.
look how sweet that is.
Oh,
Oh, a
That's
mom
just
and her
mama.
puppy. Yeah, so anyway, so I got to do that cover, which was exciting. And then the third issue was a split issue where I got to do a Herculoid story, which Carl Kiesel inked, and Steve Rude did a Birdman story. So it's really quite a good issue. If you, not that the other ones aren't, but I'm just,
Steve.
yeah.
He's like 10 feet tall.
Yeah. Steve the Dude Rude.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I got to do that. And then this came up.
Oh, man.
And I was thrilled to death. So I got this, and I was going to tell you the Hawkman story, which I never finished. On the Hawkman covers, I told the editor, I said, okay, so when do you need the first cover? He goes, we already hired Walter Simonson to do the covers. And I went, I guess I'm off the book then. He's like, what? I go, I'm not doing this unless I do the covers, as much as I love Walter. And he said, oh, okay. So they let me do the covers. And I think Walter ended up doing like an alternative cover or something. Sticking that dog's nose in my ear. But anyway, so we have a similar story here. There he is.
He has boundary issues.
Yeah, he doesn't really respect your personal space. But so I come on to this, right? And I thought this is the perfect book for me. Well, I found out that Liam Sharp had already been offered it and he turned it down. So I was second choice, but that's all right. Liam would have done a great job on it too. But so I come into this and I'm not doing the covers for this. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So I said, what is going on? And they said, well, we already hired Derek Robertson to do the covers. And I'm like, why? Nothing against Derek. I mean, again, this is nothing against any other artist, but it's like, if I'm doing the book, I should be doing the covers. So like a little baby, I went to Dan DiDio and I said, Dan, I want the covers for this book. And he said, well, we're not just going to can Derek. He said, what we'll do is, he said, we'll run alternate covers and you can do all the alternate covers. I said, fine, I can live with that. So unfortunately, in the first issue, they had already done the alternate cover. Liam Sharp was doing the alternate cover. So I came in with the second issue to start doing the alternate covers, which I penciled, inked, and colored. So let's take a look at those. That was the first one I did. This one I think is a really nice design. And I liked how the water turned out. It's very stylized, but it reads as water. It's like I wasn't trying to do realistic water, but I really like how that turned out and how the crows sort of frame the images of Wonder Woman and Conan. And then we go to this one, which is a big brawl issue. I probably could have made the background a little bit darker, but it was still a fun kind of Barry Smith homage cover in the sense that, you've got them on top of a pile of bodies that they're, fending off. And so that was a lot of fun to draw. This actually ended up being, because I guess Derek missed the deadline or was doing something else. I don't know what the story was on this, but this ended up being the regular cover, not the alternate cover. So that one turned out fine. And then this is my favorite cover, the last issue cover. This is where it all sort of came together for me. It's sort of reminiscent of Barry Smith's cover to Conan number 9, 13. Anyway, Conan's battling in the air, battling this giant bat creature. And so if you look at the cover, you'll go, that doesn't really look like that. But there was kind of the mental inspiration I had to do this. So I didn't copy it, or it's not an homage in any sense, but it was kind of inspired by it. And you can see this nice little circular thing I got going between Wonder Woman, Conan, and then the girl that's being held in the clutches of the giant crow.
Triangle.
Yeah, well, yes, it is a triangle, but it was, yeah. Triangle. Okay, it's not a circle, it's a triangle, but you get the idea. And so I had to do the city down there below, which was kind of a pain, but I just kind of did it monochromatic when I colored it, and it just works really, really well. So I'm just really pleased in all aspects how that cover turned out. And
Take the cover off.
I will.
I am so bossy.
And I actually kept this cover. This is the one I didn't sell and kept because I love it so much. So Shelly's here. She's here for the comments only, folks. So
Yep.
she wants to jump in and that Mike's live now, Aaron. Of course it is.
Oh,
Oh, Mike is? Well, what can I do? You know, the thing is, there's so many people with shows on. You're always competing with somebody. I was jumped on the tail end of Graham's Nolan's show, which I was
Hi,
actually
Benjamin.
watching. And now Mike's jumping in on the tail end of mine. So what are you going to do? That look from Mrs. Lopresti gave me high school flashbacks.
Yep.
There seems to be a spelling issue here.
Well,
But
so it
that's
says
okay.
sorry typos.
Love the
Next one.
Herculpids.
I think that's even better.
But he does follow it up with this, which
He
is
says
nice, so I
sorry
appreciate that.
typos too. Goob.
Well, I can't show them all.
Oh, Husker tired himself out barking at the wind.
If they use your cover, this is a good question by Hyper Potato, whose wife apparently makes excellent red velvet cake.
Oh, can't wait.
If they use your cover on a trade as well as a series, do you get paid again? No. So, Lloyd's loving the Hawkman miniseries. Appreciate that. Okay, so I think we're caught up. Ooh, there's Art to Bear.
Hi, Art. Hi, Art.
Mike likes jumping on tail. Oh my goodness. Art.
You heard it here.
You heard it. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. You heard it here first, folks. All righty. You know, we also, there's a show tomorrow night, the Brofessionals, which I'll be hosting on my channel that features me, Graham Nolan, teen sensation Billy Tucci, Art to Bear, Andy Smith, and Fragaboom. Dan Fraga will be there. And we'll be talking about classic illustrators that
Do it down.
influenced us or perhaps were just inspirations to us in some way or another.
Oh. I want you guys to do another drinking one.
Yeah, Shelly brought a bunch of White Claw. Now she's like, oh,
I
I'm gonna
know,
use it.
you
I don't get to
guys-
use it.
I heard it was going to go like for a while, and I was all ready to step in for Aaron. Substitution.
That's right, they don't keep you
And
drinking.
yeah, no.
Okay, so moving on, you're about to get covered up, so you're going to want to slide over.
No. I'd
Yeah.
rather be covered up.
And Shelly gets covered up by the Herculoids. So I actually did end up
Did
getting
you
to
do
do
it?
some Herculoids.
Do yours.
My what?
That's why I married him, folks. It's
Yeah.
just unending talent.
Look at our eyeballs are just dropping off like crazy. No one's watching anymore.
Well, is your
No.
show always, is it an hour or hour and a half?
Well, this is kind of like this isn't the big show. Sunday's the big show. This is kind of the filler show because I had too many covers. So anyway, they did do after Future Quest was quite a success. They did Future Quest Presents, and I got to do a 3-part Herculoid story of which I penciled, inked, and colored the covers
Cookies.
myself.
Me.
So I like to look back on that and say that was the greatest year of comics in my life because I did the Looney Tunes thing, then followed up by Wonder Woman Conan, which was like one of my favorite things to ever work on, and then followed up by the Herculoids. So 10 months out of the 12 months, I was working on like stuff I loved working on. And so that was like my favorite year in comics. But anyway, so this cover, I still have. But it's interesting because I drew Igu, the rock gorilla,
Say it again.
and I started inking the cover. I was halfway done inking it and realized that he wasn't big enough. And now I could have just finished it and made him larger in Photoshop, but then I said then the original art wouldn't be, it was just the integrity of the original art wouldn't be the same. So I redrew the whole thing. But anyway, there it is. And I kept that cover. I still have it in my keeper portfolio. And then this one was the final. And that's kind of cool because I put the Herculoids in the body of this Kirby-esque villain. That design was very Kirby-esque, intentionally, of course. Now here's a few loose ones that I forgot about. The Wonder Woman cover was the Halloween special, and I don't even know what year those were. Again, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, who knows? I could probably find out, but that would actually require me to get up out of this chair, and that's not going to happen. So the first one was the Wonder Woman vampire Halloween cover that I did. And the mistake I made on this, well, it wasn't a mistake. I intentionally did it. Was I did not have blood all over her chest from where she pulled the steak out because I thought that would have just been too gross and disgusting. So I didn't do it. But one thing I do sort of regret is that coffin should have been open. She should have been standing in the open coffin, not on top of it. And so anyway, what are you going to do? But that was, I think, Wonder Woman 30 of the New 52 Wonder Woman. It wasn't the same Wonder Woman series I was working on when I was doing the interiors. This came much later. And then I did this Teen Titans thing, which my favorite one was them in a graveyard, and I think the Superboy character was coming out of a grave and the rest of them were standing around. But Mark Chiarello at the time said, we got too many zombie covers already. Give me something else. And I said, all right. And so they came up with this giant pumpkin thing, very reminiscent of a Wrightson-ish kind of House of Mystery covers. In fact, I even threw in Kane from the House of Mystery. And that was our winner. And it actually turned out really well. I kind of liked that cover a lot. Then there was a series of coloring book covers that you may remember. This is the best of the ones I did, which was Grayson, kind of a James Bond-esque sort of feel to it. And we were actually, Shelley, my son, my daughter, and my mom were on vacation. And we went down there and we went into Warner Brothers and got a tour. Of course I'd been there before, but pardon me, not Warner Brothers, but the DC studios, offices. And
is that one?
Yeah, we went and toured Warner Brothers Studios. That's why I had that in my
And then we
mind.
got kicked off the other one.
Yeah, well, yeah, we tried to sneak into the Disney lot, and it didn't go well.
Aren't we good parents?
Yeah, well, anyway, so it was hard to run because my mother, who's now 90, was like well into her 80s at that point. So we weren't running anywhere. But the security guard did walk all the way out from the booth to come and have a chat with us. So anyway, so we're walking around talking to people, getting to see all the sites, and in the DC offices. And Mark comes up and he goes, Aaron, can you come here a minute? And I went, yeah. So I went into his office and he goes, I need like a bunch of coloring book covers and I need them fast. Can you do them? I said, yeah, I'll be home, in 2 days. I'll crank them out. I said, good. So that's how I got those. And I did 3 of them. One was Superman, Wonder Woman 25, and another one was Superman, Lois and Clark. And I guess that was a miniseries. I don't really know. But I did coloring book covers for those 3. Now, this kind of came along my merry way right after Conan Wonder Woman, and or Wonder Woman Conan, I guess. And
You colored that one too, didn't you?
yes, I did. I did everything on this one as well. And this, I kind of wanted to do the book, but after I talked to Gail and the approach, she was taking a more serious approach to the character, and it was a little bit darker. And I was kind of like, that's not really how I want to do Plastic Man. So I went ahead and kind of took my name out of the running for that, and just did the cover of the first issue. But we did discuss possibly me doing it. I'm not saying I had the job. Again, I don't want to, the person that actually drew this, I don't want them to think that, there was just some discussions about me possibly doing it, and it never got farther than that. Okay, so then this is one of my favorite covers, is my Harley Quinn cover. Off number 1, and this was another store variant. So I had a guy in Baltimore, store owner in Baltimore, asked, which I was very, touched. When you have a store owner say, "Oh, I want Lopresti to do my cover," you're like, "Wow, that means a lot to me." And so we went through a bunch of different cover designs, and this wasn't my favorite, and I know the store owner was kind of ticked because he wanted to pick which one he wanted to do, and they wouldn't let him. And he was the one paying for the cover, right? He had to buy like 5,000 of these to do this. And so anyway, so this was the one that ended up getting picked. And he said, well, okay, at least if this is the design, then can you do a bunch of stuffed toys of like villains in it? And I said, yeah, absolutely. So I threw that in there. And now I colored the wall pink, right? And I really thought it was appropriate for the character. Well, one of the guys in marketing, Vince, hated the pink. He goes, it looks like Pepto-Bismol. And I'm like, that's the point. And so they're like, no, you got to change the color. So I did a different color, and it just lost everything. I was like, you guys really have to do this in the pink. And I got Chiarello on my side finally, because he was kind of like, well, if Aaron wants to do it in pink, let him do it in pink. What's the big deal? And Vince is like, no, don't buy it. It's ugly, you know. And then the retailer came in and said, no, I want to do the pink. And so at that point, they said, all right, do the pink. And so it
Did you
came
put
out
Lucy
pink.
in
Yeah. Well, no. Well, actually, she has a dachshund,
there? Oh, so it looks like our
but we did have Lucy at the time, so it was kind of a little
looks
double
like our-
entendre for me.
dog we had.
Yeah, we had a.
My little Lucy, little wiener dog.
Yep. Now let's jump back to comments real quick here and see what's happening. Did you ever know you are my hero? Okay. I'm going to head out, and Aaron, stop teasing your wife. I'm not. She teases me.
Oh my gosh, I am.
See, and Art, I knew this was true, and I'm glad he
Oh.
finally admitted that I'm
It's
his
about time you said
inspiration.
it out loud.
Yep. That was something we talked about earlier, but we've already done that. And well, actually, we didn't do a draw.
I'll just do half.
Isn't that Joe Quesada's thing? Does like a drink and draw?
Well, you do the draw.
You'll do that drinking.
Well, we do what we do best. We each
Sorry.
do our part.
That's right. Paul gives me the classic Plastic Man. Adriana Mello did the interior, yes. So I don't want to, yeah. Always wanted a poster of the Harley cover. See, where did it go? The repetition. Oh, there it is. See? Yeah, well, you know,
what we
it's a
do.
team effort.
It's what we do.
It's a team
I
effort.
guess.
Okay. So where are we? We are moving along. Actually, we're almost done, if you can believe it.
Good, because I was.
Okay, so then this came up.
Oh, I like that one.
And yeah, it turned out really well. And I think I got Brad Anderson to color that. That's why it looks so nice. And he did a couple covers. He's like, Aaron, I can't do any more. I'm too busy. I'm like, meh. So anyway, yeah, Brad colored that. And
Didn't you?
yeah.
Didn't you do something with damage, like figures or something?
No.
No.
No, what happened was
remember.
they launched this series, and the regular artist on it was that guy who does that stuff. You remember
Oh
him?
yeah, he came over for chicken that one time.
But he left after 3 issues, and so then they had somebody else, and it wasn't working out, and so they brought me in. And the sales in the book were down, and they're like, you know, we got to see if we can bring the sales up. And I'm like, why didn't you guys just give me this book from the beginning?
They always do
And you
that.
wouldn't have had this problem.
So dumb.
But they wanted big name artists, apparently, which I am not, and to launch all these new hero, Age of New Hero books,
Started.
and they all left after 3 issues, which I think is just dumb.
That's
It's like people want continuity.
People
So I was like,
want-
anyway. So I came on and did the annual, and then took over on issue 9, I think, of the regular series, because it was falling off quickly. But anyway, so I got finally they had done a certain amount of covers, you know, past where I was starting on already. So I think I came in on 12 with this, and I got to put some of the Justice League in there, Superman, of course, and then Deadman. Who doesn't want to draw Deadman? In fact, we were at I was at the New York show. I was at dinner with gosh darn it. Why can't I remember anybody's name? Is this truly the age of? Is this old age?
Man.
Yeah, Venditti, of course. Rob Venditti. Jeez. I hope he's not
Sorry,
watching.
Rob.
Yeah, I'm sure. I am sorry. But anyway, so Rob and I and the editor were at dinner in New York talking about different ideas. And it was like, oh, what about the Spectre? We can use the Spectre, or can we use Deadman? And, you know, I was just throwing out characters I wanted to draw, right? And so the Spectre storyline was actually really good, but it got nixed. And so,
Come here, baby.
but we did get to use Deadman, so that was cool. And so I got to even do him on a cover. And then this is my favorite Damage cover where he's crushing the Batmobile. And Brian Miller colored this. This turned out really well as well, I think.
Oh my gosh, I can see the end, you guys. Hang in there. I can see the end.
A million covers later. And so then, and I'm still not showing you all my covers. I'm just doing highlights. So I love this one just because it has a big monkey on it. But I drew Damage in a different position. He was actually kind of facing the monkey, but the pose he was in was too similar to that of the Batman cover with his fist drawn back like that. In fact, it was very similar. And Dan DiDio was like, dude, that looks just like the other one. I went, oh, it does. So I had to go in and do a paste this character over the top. So the actual original cover has Damage in a different position, but I kept this cover anyway because I love the big monkey. And
Monkey.
so this is a patch. Damage is a patch, which I pasted on in Photoshop. And then we have, of course, the final cover that I had to look at earlier so I could remember Rob's name. It's so horrible.
And the horrible scan.
And this, of course, is a ripoff of Spider-Man 50. But it seemed really appropriate for the last issue of Damage. Although I had a couple other designs I thought were really good too, but Dan liked this one, so that's what I went with. And he's the freaking boss, man. So as I finished Damage and then was doing whatever I could get my hands on, Justice League, I think I did some Justice League issues, but no covers, right? Well, on my way out the door at DC, and although I guess I'm not officially out the door, even though I haven't done anything for him. And
I've been in the door for a while.
Yeah. I got to do a couple of Wonder Woman covers. And this is one of them. I did not color this, but I did pencil and ink it. And then here's the other one, which is another bad scan, which I did not color, but I did pencil and ink. And it was funny because I originally had like mostly guys grabbing her, and the editor's like, can you work a few women in there? It kind of looks like, I'm like, oh, yeah. Because they're not doing anything other than just like they're gone crazy. They're trying to kill her. If it was a bunch of guys, it would have given off obviously a
different vibe.
And as I put this cover up, I thought, well, that's it. That's all the covers. And then I discovered these.
But no.
I go, oh, yeah, that's right. I did a series of covers for Rebels. And these I penciled, inked, and I colored the last one. So the first three I did not color, but I did pencil and ink them. And the one with this big Tribulus, I guess his name, Tribulus Unleashed, the third cover there, I got to bust up the logo, kind of all of what Simonson did on Thor, which was kind of fun. And so that actually is part of the art. Actually, no, it isn't. It was on an overlay, but I did it. I did the lettering and then put it on a separate piece, I think. That sounds good. I'm going to go with it. It sounds good. So yeah. So anyway, those are just my DC covers, and you'll notice I didn't put my Metamorpho #1 cover in there, or this cover. Actually, the Metamorpho was from the trade paperback, and this was from Legends of Tomorrow. So there's a couple covers I didn't put in there, and there's some Wonder Womans I didn't include because there's just so many. But this did inspire me to put together a checklist.
You did.
So I did put together an entire checklist of every cover that I've ever done, as far as I know, and I have a number. And so the question is, what is that number? I don't know. Now,
but wait, there's more. That's right.
I want you.
Yes, Jeff, got to do cake.
Let's see. We're going back to comments here for a second. I'll be 56 tomorrow. The memory capacity ain't what it was. I'm 57, so I'm just a little bit ahead of you.
Are you?
I'm 57. I thought I was 58. And then when I found out I was really 57, I was so
because for a little while you are 3 years older than me.
Yeah. Just not right now. I agree that we
did.
Thank you from the beginning of the show. Thank you. I just read this one, so I'll just put it up there. Instead of me mouthing it, so you guys are going, what is he talking about? That's what I read. So I say thank you very much. That was very kind. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. We got to do the vote. So there's 19 people here. Let's do this. Let's vote on the cake.
If you haven't voted.
If you haven't voted, here's your chance. And let's watch this segment again. Okay, so into my shoulder, out, surgery. Okay, so here we go, folks. There's your chance. If you didn't vote earlier, vote now. Chocolate or nut?
Apparently.
So it's basically chocolate cake against the field. So it's either we're having some kind of chocolate cake on Sunday, or anything but chocolate cake on Sunday. So you don't have to give me a flavor, just chocolate or not.
This is end with a dance.
It could.
I ain't dancing.
So if you haven't voted yet, please vote now.
Fat chick ain't dancing.
Chocolate or not chocolate? No, we'll have Shelly's tap dancing will be Sunday in the big show. We saved the really, really big stuff for the Sunday show.
So embarrassing.
So,
So yes, Shelly went to OSU.
Hyper Potato, you already voted. If you already voted, don't vote again.
Oh, we do.
Okay, so
But I make
Lloyd's
I make a
going
really good
Lloyd's,
chocolate.
Lloyd's going non-chocolate, so there's one
Okay.
non-chocolate. JW says not. There's another not chocolate.
get out.
Is cheesecake even a cake? It's either a cake or a pie. It depends on how you make it.
Right.
My mom makes, and Shelly does too, just brilliant cheesecake pie that
pie.
is fantastic.
No, it's a cream cheese.
Zane
pie.
Zelinsky
Yeah.
says anything else but chocolate
Chocolate?
cake.
Wow.
Do you have a Trader Joe's? They have a fantastic chocolate
Chocolate,
cake.
yes.
Scott Ruplin says chocolate, yes. Okay, so
Yes.
where are we at, Shelly, on our numbers?
Chocolate 8, not chocolate 4. Still doubling up.
Okay, now let me put it to you this way. My Georgia senators told me to vote until
Yeah.
the polls were closed.
And then they
They just keep
We'll
on
vote.
voting and they'll keep on counting. it.
Yep.
Okay, here's what's going to happen on Sunday. I will, at this point, eat some form of chocolate cake live. You guys are encouraged to eat cake as well, but you can eat whatever flavor you want. I just have to eat whatever you guys voted for. In this case, chocolate. And Shelly will be with us. She'll be eating
Maybe.
chocolate cake as well, I'm
Well,
sure.
wait. Who's it asked? Going to OSU. Where'd it go?
Where's
Oh,
that
up there.
OSU? Where?
That one.
Shelly went to OSU, Oregon State. Yeah, not Ohio State, but Oregon State.
But no, because I got my shirt on.
yeah,
So I was just wondering maybe that,
she played
That person
volleyball
did.
there,
yeah.
and I
Which
went there
is-
for 1 year.
Why I am the physical specimen I am today.
Broken down and can't walk,
Yeah.
but other than
4
that,
back surgeries, 4 shoulder surgeries. I am quite the catch, let me tell you.
So anyway, if you guys missed, I'm going to run this again in case you missed the sentimental part earlier in our show.
Tony Stark makes you feel he's a cool exec with a heart of steel.
As Iron Man, all jets ablaze, he's fighting and snipe with the tops are raised. Amazing armor,
Yes, Iron Man.
a blazing bomber.
And this is the look I got from Shelly when I ran that again.
I don't like jellyfish.
So,
They're mean.
and let me also, before we head out, to remind you guys,
Just in case you didn't know. Already.
and if you didn't see the intro, I'm not going to run it again. You have to watch the show. You have to go back and watch the
There you
show.
go.
No, we don't have anything. I guess that's
No,
pretty
that's
much it, is it?
Yeah.
What's any last comments here before we go?
Chocolate. Go Beavs. Yep, they are
Speed racer.
kicking tush.
Jeff, there's another vote for chocolate. Well, chocolate's
Yeah,
already won.
Chocolate's just
Won by a
killing it.
landslide. So I know,
Yeah.
me too. Those are the Marvel cartoons I grew up on. Longhorn Steakhouse has chocolate stampede cake. Highly recommended. Look at Hyper
Ooh.
Potato, and he's a red velvet guy. That's important stuff.
We make this your mom's recipe, but
Oh, the
Oh, the
cover
cover
count.
count.
Thank you. See, if Vincent wasn't here, what a
Wow.
train wreck this show would be. Okay, so here's the deal. There's only, I don't know,
it would be
there's only 15 people here, but that's the way it goes.
right.
Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give people a chance. You can vote now, or maybe should we save it till the vote number? Come in with the vote on Sunday's show. If you're not going to be here
Yeah.
for Sunday, you can vote now. If you want time to think about it and cheat,
Research.
you can do that. But I bet you still won't find them all. But anyway, so the number is greater than 150.
But less than. Or equal to.
No. I mean, come
I
on.
know, Randy.
It's greater than 150.
It was amazing. But here's the deal, Randy. The last 2 games I wore my Letterman's jacket. So I'm taking credit for the win. So I'm now gonna have to wear it. Yes, I can
Until
put
they
it
lose.
on. I can put it on, but snapping not so much. But yeah, so I'm gonna wear my Oregon State Letterman's jacket yet again. And hopefully they will win yet again and go to the Elite Eight. I love March Madness. What do I say? It's dreams and broken hearts.
Yep. So,
Love it.
So anyway,
Love it.
as we get close here to wrapping up, there'll be a big reveal on Sunday of the number of covers that I've done. Okay, and so it's should we do closest without going over, or just
This isn't
closest
The Price is
period?
Right.
So it's just closest period.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
All right, and you'll win something,
Oh, Jeff,
and I don't know.
go Ducks. Oh, sorry. I just threw
just
up a little
over
bit in my
now,
mouth.
So closest to it, it's like I said, it's over
0.3.
150. Okay, that's all I'm saying. And there you have it. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I know it was kind of an up and down show today, but it was up when Shelley was here, a little bit down when
Aw.
Shelley was gone. So we'll try to keep her
So sad.
with us longer on Sunday's show. The big show, we have new features.
All the covers.
Oh, that's
all
right.
of them. Not
That's
just the DC cover. All his entire career.
Right, not just DC covers. So we've done everything up to Marvel, or right up to DC was the first show. Then all the DC covers was this show. And on Sunday, there's still more,
Say it isn't so.
but there's not a ton more. But so it's going to be like Dynamite and Archie and things like that we're going to show on Sunday. And then we'll reveal the count, the big count, the number, how many it actually is.
Oh, man.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh.
Where'd he go? Oh, there it is. What
No.
the heck? It keeps
Go on,
moving
up,
on
up,
me.
up,
Well, every
up.
time
There
I
it
go to
goes.
click on it,
Yeah.
another comment.
Malibu covers. Well, that was part
That's
of the
right.
first one. Yeah.
It's all covers. How can I make this more clear? All
His entire
covers.
career,
My
even the
entire
ones he
career
doesn't want
covers.
you to find or see.
That's right.
Yeah.
So every cover, total count. 57 your age. No, it's over
A little
150.
bit more.
So
Yeah.
yeah, a lot more. I didn't think I would even hit 100, and it's way more than that. So
Yeah.
I was stunned. So anyway,
And then you're going to draw. on
I am going to
Sunday.
draw right-handed for the
Yeah.
first time in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens.
Thankfully.
We'll see what happens as we're starving. We're eating, like canned tuna fish at this point. So I
Back
need
in
to.
college, top ramen.
That's right.
No,
So
not really.
exactly.
We're just
so anyway,
selling body parts. On
that's
the
right.
black
Whatever
market.
whatever it takes. So anyway,
For
drawing,
reasons.
new features, cake. It's
Did
going
we
to be
mention
spectacular.
cake?
It's going to be spectacular.
And
So
some
anyway,
more cake.
oh, you're going back to the comments.
Well, because and cake. Yep.
Lloyd, hold your number until next week. Okay.
Well,
Till Sunday.
in case.
Oh, Casey's not
just-
there? All
Right.
Okay. Well.
I got you, Lloyd. I got your back.
All right.
All right, you do.
All right. So anyway, that's it for now. So Lloyd, I've got your number at 232. Dancing.
Next time,
um,
maybe.
All right. This is. Actually, I don't have it. So
What?
I had to dump it because I had too many covers, and they wouldn't let me hold any more images.
No.
They'll be dancing. Because Shelley will be dancing this time. So
Oh,
you
not
check it out.
live.
No, it's taped,
Oh.
but look at Randy. How many you're? It's over 150. That's all I'm saying. All right, guys. Let me run this and say good night to everybody, and thank you for joining us. And we'll see you Sunday early evening for the big show.
We mentioned cake.
Cake.
Cake.